All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep on the liver.
The liver.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive into the liver using Dr. Rasha Eldeeb's Physiology handout as our guide. And
Oh, good stuff.
yeah, it is really interesting stuff, surprisingly.
I know, right? It's kind of an overlooked organ.
It is, right. You don't really think about it too much, but this deep dive is really going to uncover not just like what it does, but like why it's so important and some surprising clinical connections too. So
Well, yeah.
first off, this thing's huge, right? Largest internal organ, I think Dr. Eldeeb said.
Absolutely. It is massive. 1,200 to 1,500 grams. Picture like a football tucked into your ribs on the right side.
Wow.
Yeah, that size is a clue to how much it's constantly doing.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's big, but like, how does it actually work? What's going on inside this football-sized organ?
Well, think of it like a city
Yes.
with perfectly organized blocks. Each block in the liver is called a lobule.
Okay.
And within each one, there's this just like a mind-blowing level of activity.
Wow.
For starters, you've got these unique blood vessels called sinusoids.
Sinusoids, okay.
Yeah, and they're special because they mix blood from both arteries and veins.
Oh, mix.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, most of the time those are kept separate, but the liver needs that mix for efficiency.
Okay.
Think about it. The portal veins bringing in nutrient-rich blood straight from the gut,
Okay.
while the hepatic artery delivers fresh oxygen.
Right.
So the sinusoids allow the liver to process those nutrients and get that oxygen boost all at the same time.
Okay. So that's like a really efficient,
Right.
like a delivery system.
Very efficient.
Wow.
It's like a super highway of blood.
Okay. And so what else is going on in these lobules?
Okay, well, tucked between the liver cells and these sinusoids is a tiny space
Okay.
called the space of Dissy.
Space of Dissy. Okay.
Yeah, it might be small,
Uh-huh.
but it's crucial for forming lymph,
Right.
that fluid that's so key for our immune system.
So even the tiny spaces in the liver are doing important work.
Absolutely, nothing's wasted.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
Is there anything else that we should know about the lobule structure?
One more key player, bile canaliculi.
Okay.
Now, these aren't actually tubes, but spaces between liver cells.
Oh, interesting.
They're responsible for collecting bile,
Right.
which, helps with digestion.
Uh-huh.
But there's so much more to bile than meets the eye,
I bet. Okay.
as we'll discover later.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay.
Yeah,
So this is already blowing my mind, and we haven't even gotten to the blood flow yet.
I know, right?
Dr. Eldeeb's handout mentioned that the liver sees an insane amount of blood.
Yes, ridiculous.
Right.
About a third of the heart's output every minute flows through the liver.
Oh, my God.
That's roughly 1,300 cc.
Wow.
Remember those little veins we talked about?
Yeah.
That's where most of that blood comes from, bringing in all the goodies absorbed from your intestines.
So the liver gets first dibs
Exactly.
on all the nutrients.
First pick.
Wow, it's like a VIP
Yes.
at a buffet.
Absolutely. And this is where the importance of venous blood dominance comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about nutrients. It's also about filtering out potential toxins that could have hitched a ride from the gut,
Oh,
right? Liver as a detoxifier.
yes.
Okay, this is already making me want to eat a little healthier.
Me too.
But wait, back to all that blood.
Yeah,
Does the liver actually store some of it too?
you're on the right track. The liver's pretty stretchy. It can expand and contract to hold a significant amount of blood,
Oh, wow.
kind of like a backup reservoir.
Okay.
This helps regulate blood pressure and even compensate if you lose blood, say during an injury.
Wow, so it's a blood filter, a nutrient processor, and a backup blood bank.
It's incredible.
Curiously impressive.
A true multitasker.
Yeah.
But hold on tight,
Okay.
because we haven't even touched on the liver's role in lymph and immunity.
Oh, okay.
You ready for that?
Oh, absolutely. Bring it on. Okay, so we've covered blood flow, but Dr. Eldeeb's handout also mentioned lymph.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what's the connection between the liver and lymph? Well, you might be surprised to learn that the liver is responsible for producing about half of the body's total lymph.
Half.
Yeah,
Seriously, I had no idea.
it's a lot.
How does it manage that?
It all goes back to that tiny space of Dissy we talked about.
Okay.
Remember those large pores in the sinusoids?
Right.
They're designed to be a bit leaky,
Uh-huh.
allowing fluid and proteins to seep out, forming lymph.
Okay.
Think of it like a carefully controlled leaky faucet, constantly dripping lymph to keep things flowing.
So a leaky liver is actually a good thing in this case.
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
This lymph production is crucial for our immune system, and helps maintain the balance of fluids in our bodies.
Wow.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
If the pressure inside those sinusoids gets too high, things can go south.
Okay.
Too much lymph, which can lead to fluid buildup in the abdomen, a condition called ascites.
Ascites.
Ascites. Okay, so that's a real-world consequence.
Right.
Too much pressure in the liver can lead to problems elsewhere.
Speaking of keeping things in check,
Okay.
the handout mentioned Kupffer cells.
Yeah.
What are those again?
Kupffer cells are like the liver's security team.
Okay.
They're a type of macrophage, which are basically immune cells that patrol the liver, gobbling up anything suspicious.
So they're like little Pac-Man characters.
Right.
Munching on bacteria and toxins.
That's a great analogy.
Love it.
And they're strategically positioned in those sinusoids, ready to catch anything that might have slipped through from the gut.
Right, because that's the first wave of blood that it's getting.
First wave.
Okay.
So having those Kupffer cells on guard is essential.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got blood filtering, nutrient processing, backup blood storage, lymph production, and a security detail.
I know.
Anything else this amazing organ does?
Oh, you bet.
Okay.
We haven't even touched on bile production yet.
Right, bile.
Yeah.
I know it helps with digesting fats, but I admit it always seemed kind of basic compared to all the other things the liver does.
Right.
What's the full story?
Don't underestimate bile.
Okay.
It's far more complex than you might think.
Okay.
It's not just a simple fat buster. It's a complex fluid with water, electrolytes, bile acids, cholesterol, pigments.
Wow.
You name it.
Hold on. Did you say cholesterol?
Yep.
So the liver handles cholesterol too?
Big time.
What?
In fact, bile secretion is one of the main ways our bodies get rid of excess cholesterol.
Really?
But it's not a simple dump and go process.
Okay.
Bile production is a carefully choreographed two-step dance.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Walk me through it.
Okay, first, the liver cells, called hepatocytes,
Hepatocytes, okay.
make the initial batch of bile.
Okay.
It's packed with bile acids, cholesterol, and other organic molecules. And they secrete it into those little canunculi we talked about.
Right.
Then as the bile flows through the bile ducts, it gets a makeover.
Oh.
The duct cells add water and bicarbonate, making it more alkaline to neutralize stomach acid in the intestines.
So it's like bile gets a spot treatment.
Exactly.
On its way out. Very fancy.
Right.
Okay, what about the gallbladder?
Yes.
What's its role in all of this?
The gallbladder is like the bile storage facility.
Okay.
It holds and concentrates bile, making it extra potent for when we need it. But this concentration process can sometimes backfire.
Oh, no.
If the balance gets thrown off, you can get those dreaded gallstones.
Oh, yeah.
Which are basically hardened chunks of cholesterol and other bile components.
Gallstones. Ouch. Yeah, I've heard those are no fun.
Ooh.
So how does our body know when to release bile?
Good question.
Is it a constant drip or is it controlled somehow?
It's definitely controlled. When you eat, especially fatty foods, your small intestine releases hormones like CCK and secretin.
Right.
These hormones act like signals telling the gallbladder, hey, time to release the bile. And out it squirts right into the small intestine, ready to break down those fats.
Amazing. So it's all perfectly timed with our meals.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Speaking of bile, let's talk about those bile acids you mentioned.
Okay.
Are they just there to break down fat or is there more to the story?
Oh, there's so much more.
Okay.
Bile acids are these fascinating molecules with a unique property called amphipathic.
Amphipathic?
It means they have two sides.
Okay.
One that loves water and another that loves fat.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine a tiny soap molecule with one end attracted to water and the other clinging to grease. That's basically a bile acid.
Okay, I'm picturing tiny soap molecules now.
Good.
So how does this soap-like action actually help with digestion?
Think about how oil and water don't mix, right?
Right.
Fats tend to clump together in our watery digestive system. Well, bile acids come in and break those big fat globules into tiny droplets, a process called emulsification.
So they're like tiny blenders whipping up the fats
Exactly.
so they can be digested more easily.
That's it.
Wow. So bile acids are not just breaking down fat, they're making the whole digestive process way more efficient?
Way more efficient.
That's amazing.
And get this.
Okay.
They're also crucial for absorbing those essential fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K.
Oh, right.
Without enough bile acids, you wouldn't be able to absorb those vitamins properly.
I remember remember reading about that in Dr. Eldeeb's handout.
Yeah.
That's why problems with bile flow can lead to vitamin deficiencies, right?
Exactly. Bile acids are multitasking superstars, just like the liver itself.
Okay, I'm officially impressed with bile acids.
Good.
But let's circle back to cholesterol for a second.
Okay.
You mentioned that bile acid synthesis is a major way the liver gets rid of it.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's a brilliant system, really.
Okay.
The liver uses cholesterol as a building block to make bile acids.
Uh-huh.
Then those bile acids are secreted into the gut.
Right.
A small portion gets reabsorbed, but a significant amount is excreted in our waste, taking that cholesterol with it.
Okay.
We're talking about 500 milligrams of cholesterol eliminated every day through this pathway.
500 milligrams.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So by making bile acids, the liver is essentially helping us flush out excess cholesterol.
Exactly.
Pretty neat.
It is. And here's another fascinating tidbit.
Okay.
Bile acids aren't just passive players in this process.
Mm-hmm.
They act like hormones,
Oh, wow.
regulating their own production through a feedback loop.
Wait, they regulate themselves?
They do.
How does that work?
It's a bit complex, but essentially, when bile acid levels in the blood rise,
Uh-huh.
it signals the liver to slow down production.
Okay.
And when levels drop, the liver ramps up production.
Wow.
It's a beautiful system of checks and balances to keep things in equilibrium.
These bile acids are full of surprises.
I know, right?
So we've got bile production, cholesterol regulation, fat digestion, vitamin absorption.
We do.
What else is there to cover in the world of bile?
Well, there's one more key player in this story we need to discuss.
Okay.
Bilirubin. Have you ever heard of it?
Bilirubin. Yeah, it rings a bell.
Okay.
Isn't that the stuff that makes bruises yellow?
Yes.
I'm not really sure what it is or why it's important, though.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
Bilirubin is a yellowish pigment that's formed when red blood cells break down.
Okay.
It's essentially a waste product that needs to be eliminated, and you guessed it, the liver plays a crucial role in that process.
Of course, the liver.
Of course.
Okay, so we've got this waste product from old red blood cells.
Right.
What happens to it? Where does it go?
It goes on quite a journey, actually.
Okay.
First, it's released from those worn-out red blood cells and travels through the bloodstream,
Okay.
hitching a ride on a protein called albumin,
Uh-huh.
which, surprise, surprise, is also made by the liver.
Right. Of course, the liver's involved. It's the ultimate multitasker.
It is.
So what happens once bilirubin gets to the liver?
Well, the liver cells,
Mm-hmm.
or hepatocytes,
Right.
take it in and give it a makeover. They attach other molecules to bilirubin, making it water-soluble, a process called conjugation.
So it's like bilirubin gets a new outfit so it can travel more easily through the body?
Exactly.
Okay.
This water-soluble bilirubin is then excreted into the bile, eventually ending up in the intestines.
Right.
From there, it's further broken down by bacteria and eliminated in the feces, giving poop its characteristic brown color.
Uh-huh. So that's why poop is brown.
That is why.
It all makes sense now.
It does.
But what about jaundice?
Yes.
I know that has something to do with bilirubin.
It does.
How does that fit into all of this?
Jaundice is basically a buildup of bilirubin in the blood.
Oh, okay.
It gives the skin and eyes a yellowish tint,
Right.
and it's a sign that something isn't quite right with bilirubin processing.
So jaundice is like a warning light,
Yes.
not the problem itself.
Precisely. There are different types of jaundice,
Okay.
each pointing to a different issue.
Yeah.
There's obstructive jaundice, where the bile duct gets blocked,
Okay.
preventing bilirubin from being excreted.
Right.
Then there's hemolytic jaundice, where red blood cells break down too quickly,
Okay.
overwhelming the liver's ability to process all that bilirubin.
Right.
And finally, there's hepatic jaundice, which signals that the liver itself is damaged and can't handle bilirubin properly.
Wow. So jaundice is like a detective's clue.
It is.
Helping doctors figure out what's going on with bile flow, red blood cell breakdown, or liver function.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
It is. And speaking of fascinating, did you know there's a specific type of jaundice that affects newborns?
Yes. Dr. Eldeeb mentioned that in her handout.
Right.
What's different about neonatal jaundice?
Well, babies are more prone to jaundice for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
First, their red blood cells have a shorter lifespan, meaning they produce more bilirubin.
Right.
And second, their livers are still developing and might not be fully equipped to conjugate and eliminate bilirubin as efficiently as an adult liver.
So they're just not as good at handling bilirubin yet?
Right.
What kinds of things can make neonatal jaundice worse?
Several factors can make it worse.
Okay.
Anything that causes increased red blood cell breakdown,
Yeah.
like certain infections or blood incompatibilities,
Okay.
can lead to a surge in bilirubin.
Right.
Differences in gut bacteria,
Uh-huh.
which play a role in bilirubin breakdown,
Right.
can also contribute.
Okay.
And of course, there are genetic factors that can affect how what a liver takes up and processes bilirubin.
The handout also mentioned a scary-sounding complication called kernicterus.
Yes.
What are the dangers of neonatal jaundice, and what is kernicterus?
Kernicterus is a rare but serious complication of severe jaundice,
Okay.
where high levels of bilirubin build up in the brain, causing damage.
Oh, no.
It can lead to hearing loss, intellectual disability, and in very severe cases, even death. Thankfully, kernicterus is preventable with prompt diagnosis and treatment.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So what can be done to treat neonatal jaundice and prevent kernicterus?
Thankfully, we have effective treatments.
Okay, good.
One is phototherapy, where babies are exposed to special blue lights that help break down bilirubin into a form that's easier to excrete.
Okay.
In severe cases, an exchange transfusion might be necessary.
Great.
That's where the baby's bilirubin-laden blood is replaced with fresh donor blood,
Wow.
essentially removing the bilirubin directly from the bloodstream.
Okay, so phototherapy and exchange transfusions are the go-to treatments for severe cases.
AR.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered bile and bilirubin pretty thoroughly.
I think so.
What's next on our liver adventure?
I think it's time to shift gears and talk about the liver's amazing metabolic skills.
Okay.
Time to explore the liver as a metabolic powerhouse, the ultimate master chef of the body.
Ooh, I like that. The liver is master chef.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for a culinary tour of the liver. Okay, I'm ready to hear about the liver's culinary skills. What's on the menu for this master chef?
Well, the liver's kitchen is always bustling, juggling a dizzying array of ingredients and recipes.
Oh, is it?
It's all about keeping the body in perfect balance, maintaining that delicate state we call homeostasis.
Right, homeostasis.
Exactly.
So what are the main courses being prepared in this metabolic kitchen?
Let's start with carbohydrates.
Okay.
The liver is the ultimate carb controller, storing excess glucose from those delicious meals as glycogen, like packing away leftovers for a rainy day.
Okay.
Then, when our blood sugar dips between meals or when we're burning energy during exercise, it breaks down that glycogen and releases glucose back into the bloodstream, keeping our cells fueled and happy.
So it's like a pantry for sugar, stocking up when we've got plenty and doling it out when we need it.
Exactly.
But what happens if those glycogen stores run low?
Yeah.
Does the liver just throw up its hands and say, sorry, we're out of fuel?
Not at all.
Okay.
If the glycogen pantry's bare, the liver can create new glucose from scratch through a process called gluconeogenesis.
Gluconeogenesis.
It's like having a backup generator,
Right.
ensuring we never truly run out of energy.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
So the liver's making sure we have a constant energy supply, even when we're not eating.
Right.
What about fats?
Yeah.
How does the liver handle those?
Fat metabolism is another specialty of the house.
Okay.
The liver breaks down fatty acids for energy, packages them into lipoproteins for transport around the body, and even synthesizes new fatty acids and triglycerides when needed.
So it's like a fat processing plant,
Yeah.
converting, storing, and distributing fats as needed.
Exactly.
It's amazing how the liver is involved in so many different processes.
I know, right? A true multitasker.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about protein metabolism.
Right.
The liver is essential for breaking down amino acids, those building blocks of proteins, either using them for energy or transforming them into other necessary molecules.
Right. Amino acids are essential for like building and repairing tissues.
Yes.
But what about the byproducts of protein metabolism? Don't those include some toxic substances?
You're right. Protein breakdown can generate ammonia, which is quite toxic to the body.
Right.
But luckily, the liver steps in again,
Okay.
converting that ammonia into urea, a much less toxic substance that's easily excreted by the kidneys.
So the liver's like a detoxification center,
Right.
neutralizing harmful byproducts and keeping our systems clean.
Exactly.
I'm starting to think there's nothing this organ can't do.
It's a pretty amazing organ.
It is.
In addition to all that,
Yeah.
the liver also synthesizes essential proteins like albumin, which helps maintain fluid balance in the blood,
Right.
and clotting factors, which are crucial for, well, clotting.
Right. Right.
So it's pretty important.
Wow. It really does seem like the liver is involved in every aspect of our health.
It really is.
Speaking of assessing liver health,
Yes.
Dr. Eldeeb's handout mentioned liver function tests.
Right.
What are those, and how do they help doctors understand what's going on with the liver?
Liver function tests are blood tests that give doctors a peek into the liver's inner workings. They measure various substances in the blood that can indicate how well the liver is functioning or if there might be a problem brewing.
So they're like a checkup for the liver.
Exactly.
What kind of things are these tests looking for?
There are a few key players they track.
Okay.
ALT and AST are enzymes that leak out of damaged liver cells.
Okay.
So if those levels are high, it usually means there's some inflammation or injury going on.
So those are like red flags.
For ER.
Signaling that something might be off.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
ALP and GGT are enzymes associated with the bile ducts. So elevated levels might point to a blockage or other issues with bile flow.
Interesting.
Then there's bilirubin, which we talked about earlier. High bilirubin levels can indicate a problem with bilirubin processing, possibly leading to jaundice.
Okay.
And finally, they check albumin levels, which can reflect the liver's ability to synthesize proteins, and clotting studies, which show how well the liver is producing those essential clotting factors.
So it's like a puzzle, using these different pieces of information to get a complete picture of liver health.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been an incredible journey through the world of the liver.
I know, it's a fascinating organ.
I'm honestly blown away by how much this one organ does for our bodies.
Amazing.
It's involved in digestion, detoxification, metabolism, blood regulation, immunity.
It does it all.
The list goes on and on.
Seriously.
So after learning all this, I think we can all agree that a healthy liver is essential for a healthy life.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So to all our listeners out there, remember to show your liver some love, eat a balanced diet, exercise regularly, and be mindful of alcohol consumption.
All good advice.
Your liver will thank you. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the fascinating world of the liver.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed the journey and learned something new along the way.
We'll see you next time.
Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.